And yo, the Sports Bad Bros podcast is back on. It's Thursday. It's a short week for us because we started on Tuesday instead of Monday because we didn't do a show on Monday. Thursday going into a weekend, we have more sports to look forward to. Really? I don't know. It's more sports news than sports at all because baseball seems to be the only thing kind of rolling right now. And so we'll run with that. Shakur Stevenson is fighting this weekend. It's supposed to be a competitive fight, but we've seen him fight before, so we don't know about that either. But anyway, let's keep it in-house. Basketball still making some news out there. What's good?
What's good? Since you mentioned basketball, I'd like to know how in the hell did Angel Reese get the 2K cover?
You know what it is. It's not
No,
ability.
no, no.
It's
There's
nonsense. They're pushing their agenda since last year.
who is they? Like,
The
why
media,
is EA Sports pushing Angel Reese?
the media,
And
because
it's not even a Caitlin Clark thing. If you want to go with Asia, well then they
they
said, well,
could
Asia
have
was
gone with
on,
Asia. Yeah.
she was on it last year. Okay, well, Nafisa's the top MVP player this year. Go with Nafisa. Um, hey man, I like I said, I like Angel Reese. Or I try to like her. She's been playing a lot better, but she still don't deserve
No.
the cover. 5 games is not a career make.
Exactly. 5 games. They throw on the front cover. And, if there's going to be people out there, see, I told you she was better because there's so much into aesthetics in terms of that kind of a thing. Not even the aesthetics on the field or the court where she's supposed to be playing well. And she has played well the past several games. But come on, man, it's ridiculous. And it seems like it's always some type of agenda. There's always some type of movement when it comes to just what she does. If she has a bad game, there's an excuse. If she has a good game, she's the next
It
coming
would
of
be
whatever.
funny if Caitlin Clark gets her own video game.
She'll outsell all of them. Bro,
that's what I'm saying. That would be hilarious.
We've seen her personality, though, in terms of the things that she does. She doesn't show a whole lot of anything outside of the court. But then when she makes her statements, you can see that the people who support her don't necessarily agree with her statements because she's more of a placater. She wants to be someone who's not going to cause all the ruckus because Angel Reese doesn't mind. She knows what she is. She acts like a villain because she's looked at as a villain by the majority of the WNBA fans in terms of the people. They're making a Caitlin her deal, and I guess she also makes it that way. But she's kind of settled into being that villain, and she even said she would rather be the villain. She wants to be the villain, and she's getting the bag because of that. So, but if Caitlin were to get her own thing, we know it would just sell out, and it'll be just another wave of thing. But Caitlin seems like she doesn't want to be in the middle of anything that seems controversial, especially if there's that remote possibility of it having one of those social elements to it.
How's the
she has
video
nothing to do
game
with
controversial?
Anything that she does, if that competes with, especially on the outside of the basketball court, because we're talking about a video game.
No, man. If I can't even think of a video game company, but let's say video game company XYZ says, "Hey, Caitlin, we'd like to do a basketball game with you." Why not? If they're gonna break her off with another bag, she's only getting paid $75,000
and that's true.
NBA.
But I'm thinking she's playing chess. She's looking ahead, and I think her people I don't know if her people are really with her on that. I think it's just a her thing because she's her own person doing it. I think that she would see that as she's, especially in light of this, it would look so obvious that she's deliberately trying to go head to head with what Angel Reese is doing, and then you get that same element that's been running since last season. In fact, going back to their college days.
Okay, but she got a shoe deal. Asia Wilson got a shoe deal. Now Angel Reese has a shoe deal. I mean, why is it good for them to try and compete with her, but she can't compete with them?
Bro, you answered your own question. Looking at the crap they did last season, and
I'm
then
just
some
saying,
of the stuff.
I'm just saying, right is right. I don't give a fuck.
Exactly, right is right. They haven't been doing it right. They've been going against her. They still haven't been calling her fouls. They still have been going against her for the time she has played, Caitlin Clark, that is. So anything she does is always going to be in some type of a comparison and contrast to what Angel Reese is doing. That seems to be what it is, even though I don't think
Caitlin has to play better, though. I know she just came back, but she got to do more than 10 points.
Oh, no.
And they took a big L yesterday. She got to play better.
Oh, you know what? I forgot they was even. I knew she was coming back. I thought it was today. I thought today was Wednesday until I saw that we came out like that. It's Thursday. I'm serious.
But let me just share one thing real quick. I have a friend who's a teacher. Why is the WNBA playing games at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday anyway? What? You want to make it? I don't know where they played it. No, it couldn't have been on the West Coast. It would have been 9 a.m.
Oh,
I think it was.
And you talking about after the morning, 11 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah, yesterday.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I got a Bleacher Report with the score. Fever up 16-11. I looked at the clock. It was 11:20, so 12:20 in Indy. But if you're trying to grow your league, why are you playing games at 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday
with your primary player? I guess
right.
It's one of those.
That makes no sense.
It's
but
one of those.
As far as my friend, the teacher, he starts texting me, "How come the Fever can't score? Caitlin's back. Caitlin is back, and now they're struggling to score." I said, "Dude, why don't you grade some papers or something, man? I'm at work right now."
For real, find something to do, bro.
I can't comment on something I'm not watching, man. I can't say, "Yeah, she's playing like trash," or I can't comment. I'm not watching.
Man, that's crazy. But you know what? I mean, I guess going back to why would the game be on so early, I guess it's one of those gauges. You know, you have the biggest star of the WNBA, regardless of who ranks her where, and she's coming back after all these games. And you would anticipate with nothing else going on, this is the abyss of the sports season, this part of the summer. You would want to see that, does she move the needle just by being on that? You know, if you had it that early, does she even move the needle? I don't know what the ratings are on it, but I could see that as being a feeler just to see, to test her popularity again. I mean, they've seen it in so many different ways, but this would be just another way to see how popular she really is.
What's the benefit? Okay, let's say they get a sellout at home in Indianapolis. Okay, but who's watching around the world?
That's true. I mean, if you're a true fan, because remember, the true fans and overseas, they do get up to watch these kinds of games. It's like even the little kids back in the day when like in New York in particular, when they had the preseason football games and you were so anxious for football and they had to tape delayed games because you didn't go to the games. They played it at 12 a.m. You got up at 12 a.m. to watch the freaking game, even though you had the results.
I don't know if people are staying up late to watch WNBA games.
With Caitlin Clark involved, I can see it being a possibility. I can see it being a likely scenario.
I would need to see some statistics on worldwide viewership. I don't believe it.
Well, you know what? That's something I can get on top of eventually and find out exactly what are people doing. How big is her fan base? Is it just rabid here in the United States, or are people actually killing each other about it overseas as well?
But if you're trying to grow the game, 12 o'clock games on the Wednesday is not how you do it, man.
These dudes just do it in their own way.
If it was a holiday, if 4th of July fell on a Wednesday,
something like that,
I can understand it. But just a regular Wednesday 12 o'clock game,
I guess what?
I want to know who scheduled that.
Baseball's been playing some quirky games this year too. Baseball plays on Wednesdays, especially in the summer when they have those games in the midweek. Playing at
they got 162 games. They got to play every day of the week.
That 162 games, but and also baseball has like over 100 years worth of advance notice in front of the WNBA. But yeah, I mean, I've seen baseball games come on that early.
So I got something for you.
Wimbledon is still going on, isn't it?
I don't know.
That's another game that's played early in the morning.
You're asking the wrong guy, bro. You're asking the wrong guy. But the other day, I was giving you crap for never having seen The Wire or at least heard of Omar.
Yeah, The Wire. I've heard of The Wire. I just hadn't seen it.
Of Omar though.
Oh, Omar.
My coworker just said, "You know what I watched last night? Moneyball." It's like, Moneyball. You just watched it yesterday, and we started talking about the scenes that made us laugh. But hey, I guess I can't really talk because I didn't watch. When did Apocalypse Now come out? In the 70s, early 80s? I don't think I watched Apocalypse Now until like 2003 or something.
Man, look here, I'm just not a movie person because I hadn't watched it either. I mean, I'm just not a movie person unless it's some type of a biography.
It's a good watch, and plus, Lawrence Fishburne was 15 years old in that movie.
Oh, shoot. You know what? I've seen Lawrence Fishburne early on in his life when he played in Cornbread Early Me back in the day. Yeah, that was another. He was 12 years old, I believe, in that movie. So, yeah, I've seen some Lawrence Fishburne in those black exploitation films that Mario Van Peebles' father probably had a hand in back in the day. But I haven't. There's just so many movies I had not seen that are popular movies. And if, some movies, if I wasn't implored to watch those movies, I wouldn't
still haven't seen any of The Godfathers.
Now, The Godfather, I rock. I mean, especially in the summertime. The 1 and 2, I rock The Godfather. So
I
yeah,
haven't seen any. I
nah,
guess I haven't had a chance to sit down for 3 hours and watch.
hey, Scarface is another one of those movies that that people try to watch it in the beginning when it first came out. I believe in '83, no one watched it. It was a flop at the movie. They thought it was some type of a fantasy, gory kind of movie, and then it becomes a cult classic for the rest of history.
Right.
It kind of get one of those little marinated stance in movie genre. In the movie world that it had delayed taste, and now you can't get rid of it. Everybody who wants to be a gangster, aspired to be a gangster, would have been gangster, should have been gangster. They're all watching The Godfather. Nino Brown watching The Godfather in a movie.
Right.
Come on, movies, watching movies. Anyway, but man, there's been, even though there hasn't been a lot of things action-wise going on in sports, there's been news that's been going on. And basketball in particular, I talked about it on Tuesday, how the NBA seems like it doesn't necessarily want to go away. This is the time of year where they start doing what they're doing anyway, free agent-wise, new contract-wise. But the numbers, though, off the chain. The Oklahoma City Thunder now have 3 players who take them about $811 million, or even more than that, because Chet Holmgren's contract goes up to $250 million based on incentives. At least $811 million for the next 5 years. 4 years for the rookies, 5 years for SGA. Either way you look at it, a commitment of almost $1 billion with just 3 players. And that's why that Oklahoma City team is definitely going to stay together. They got that core in place. We already know about the depth. And now it's about a matter of where the hell they go after this is done.
But Chet's not a rookie.
No, not, but the rookie contract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he got the rookie contract. And Jalen Williams, another rookie, got the rookie contract. So, and I've been on top of that Chet bandwagon since high school, and I still looked at it this past series. I wasn't impressed, and I expect more from him offensively. But it's just that if it weren't for his defense, man, would they still give him this damn contract? Maybe not. But it reminded me a little bit of Patrick Ewing when he was in college. He was such a defensive stalwart, and he was brought in to be that defensive guy and add some offense, but he ended up being more of an offensive player than defensive player in the NBA.
You just mentioned Chet and Patrick Ewing and defense in one sentence. I can't roll with that, man.
Really?
I can't roll with that.
Ewing's defense was phenomenal. Chet's defense was still pretty damn good. That's what made him still relevant, and then he mixed in the offensive game.
Ewing scared people, though. They scared him. He scared people as if he was Mike Tyson on the basketball court. That's how people didn't like going in the lane on Ewing.
Nah, Ewing was there.
I can't say the same for Chet.
Well, I remember. Well, looking at how he's built, his stature, no way. At least not right now. I know Patrick Ewing, when he came out, wasn't as big.
I just would like to know what happened to Patrick. Like, he was mean. He seemed mean, and
then he fell in love with scoring.
Yeah, and in the NBA. Totally different attitude.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't as aggressive. He wasn't as mean. But you know what? They had a lot of aggressive and mean guys there anyway.
They should have brought John Thompson to coach the Knicks.
Yeah, bro, I always thought about John Thompson coaching an NBA team one day. How would that really play out? Now it's different because of the money they're getting paid. But back then, I think it still came down to the respect you had for a coach. When you see Larry Brown and AI going at it and it was public like it was, you saw that there wasn't a lot of respect for the coach. And of course, they started saying different things and making it seem like they did have respect for one another. And they probably eventually did. But it wasn't like you saw years ago when you saw it was obvious that the players, regardless of how tough they were or how their personality was outwardly, you knew that they still respected the coach. If the coach said something, there wasn't a big argument about it. He wasn't showing the coach up. And the stories that happened that may have happened in practice, you didn't hear about them. But now, coaches, players giving coaches side eyes. Hell, I watched the documentary with Sebastian Telfair. He's giving his coach in high school the side eye tiny. Yo, bro, I'm ready to go in. And he's telling the coach, yo, put me back in. That's just not what you heard back then.
When do you think it changed? Latrell Sprewell?
I guess if there was a turning point, that was it. Choking the hell out of CJ Calissimo. Oh crap! I never even thought about when the change happened, but now that
I'm just thinking about like when did the change start happening?
Now that you mention it, that might have been the turning point. And as a side note, CJ Calissimo coached at Seton Hall in New York.
CJ or PJ?
CJ. I'm thinking about NBA players, right?
CJ
but PJ Carlesimo, he coached at Seton Hall, and back in high school, Jamal Mashburn from New York, from the Bronx, and he was playing at Cardinal Hayes High School. We went to his last high school game. It was the championship game between regular game that he was playing, but it was a championship game. They were playing at a school called All Hallows, and a couple of friends of mine came. It was winter time, of course. We had a seat next to us, and we put all of our coats in that seat. And then these two dudes come in. It's dark. It's in Fordham University's field court, the same place that Sebastian Telfair played against Orlando Evans High School on his documentary show. And we sitting there watching the game, and these two dudes come like, "Hey, can you move those seats?" Because it was packed. We said nope, and we just kept watching the game. And so he was about to walk away, and I just looked up, and it's PJ Carlesimo. And I was like, "Oh snap!" I was like, "PJ Carlesimo," and now he just looked at it. He didn't even say, "Yeah," I just know it because he's a prominent figure up there. So I was like, "Yo, we all moved the seats. The clothes." He sits down next to us, and he's watching the game. He's like, "Yeah, he's a pretty good player, isn't he?" That's when Jamal was just killing everything. And I was like, "Yeah, man, he's a damn good player." Then I started asking him about football. Yo, why doesn't Seton Hall have a football team and all this other stuff? He starts talking to me about insurance and all this stuff. It was craziness, man. But that was a little side story we had. Our engagement with greatness with PJ Carlesimo, not CJ. Yeah, but PJ Carlesimo just happened to be there. Jamal Mashburn turned out to be a pretty damn good player. Went to Kentucky. I saw him the night before he left. I was in the subway. He was with his what?
Just don't buy his shoes.
Wow, what's wrong with his shoes?
You're the one that said you wanted a pair of Jordans, and they're like, "I think you belong over there by the Mash."
Oh, you know what? Mash was nice. He was nice. I mean, his shoes are not the same, but he had like 3,000 pairs of shoes or some nonsense like that. I heard of it years ago that he had all these damn shoes. But I saw him the night before he left, or the day before he left to go to Kentucky. I was in the subway and I was dozing off. Because my stop wasn't coming, I was having to open my eyes. And I saw him. I think that was his girlfriend at the time. I don't know, might have been a side chick. And he was sitting when I was helping to open my eyes, and I saw him. It was like blurry, and I'm like thinking I'm dreaming for a second. And I was like, "Jamal," and he just said, "Hey." I was like, "Yo, bro, you going to Kentucky?" I didn't know it was the next day. I was like, "Yo, so when you head to Kentucky?" He's like, "Man, tomorrow." I was like, "Bet, good luck." And that was the last time I ever spoke to him or seen him in person. I mean, it was like we was boys. It's just that I only knew him because he went to Hayes, and I had people in mind who went to Hayes as well. Craziness, but yeah, man, he happens to be one of the cool dudes who still has his money.
Good for him.
Yeah,
but I think it's smart of OKC to lock up their young players, man.
Yep.
Who knows if they'll be able to keep the outliers, the Hartensteins, the Carusos. But if I'm one of those guys, I'm like, sign me, please sign me, because OKC's future is bright.
Oh, exactly. And, Jalen Williams was one of those picks that they had gotten from the Clippers during the SGA trade. And when he came out of Santa Clara, who would have thought or thunk that he would even be one of those players that turned out to be a pretty good player in the NBA? In fact, at this stage, being as good as he is, there's a lot of potential to do even better if everything continues on the same trajectory. And, the Santa Clara Broncos isn't who you think about or aren't who you think about when you're talking about even smaller school good teams, and
I don't even think about him.
Exactly, don't even think about him. So you're like, he comes from there, he's doing his thing, and now he's in the NBA, killing it there. And he did well in the playoffs, but I talked about anyways about how these players, how OKC in particular, they have this core of players, and you're just hoping that it's not a point now where, like with Denver, as soon as the championship game was over, you had those outlier players leaving immediately because I guess their contracts were up, the opportunity became available to them. But that's not the case with OKC. It seems like everybody's staying put right now. The main guys are staying put. You haven't heard anything else about any of the players on their roster. Oh, he's leaving now, or some other team picked him up, even if it's not a huge contract, just leaving the team. And I think the same team may return this upcoming season with the entire team intact. It's hard to pick against them if that's the scenario.
True. But other teams are getting better, and the Pacers did take them to Game 7. So how much better were they than the league?
You know what? A lot of
Denver
times
took him to Game 7. But I want to talk about Chet real quick.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned his struggles. And he did struggle, but he came up big defensively.
He did. That's what kept him relevant.
But I think going forward, it's a learning experience. They were good enough as a whole to overcome that inexperience. where now Chet has that experience, and I
Mhm.
think he's gonna be a problem in future playoff series, man.
No, I think he's a problem. Period. I just didn't like
No,
in
I
real
mean
time.
serious problem. Like he's not gonna struggle. He's not gonna be
That's what I'm
afraid to
talking
shoot
about.
the series.
He's gonna be. I think he still has the potential to be a dominant player because even though he's slight in frame, he's still not afraid. He's still coming at you. It's just that if you have a few more pounds on him coming at you is not as big a problem as it may be in the future when he adds weight and adds a little bit more maturity and understands the NBA game better and able to get his agenda across physically the way he wants to. Because I think that he is that kind of a unicorn player. I think he's a Porzingis with even more talent, believe it or not. And if he doesn't get hurt as much, he'll be even better. I still think that he would be that good. But I'm just saying it was almost like OKC played to the level of the talent they played against like all the time. When you was expecting them to blow a team out, they blow a game and they get blown out by 40. And then when you're thinking that it should be a tough game, well, it's not as tough. They make it look easy. And then they go on their little runs that they were known to do, and they start pulling away, and you can't do anything about it. Now, we still don't know what would have happened if Tyrese Halliburton wouldn't have gotten hurt because he started off hot, and they were hot because of it. But
if I'm the rest of the league, I'm like, man, TJ McConnell was cooking them.
he was.
I can cook him.
But
we can cook him.
But I wonder, it's not that they let him, but I wonder if they kind of let their guard down because of him, because no one else was clicking at all. So they're like, you know what? If he's going to go off like he's going to go off, and these other guys, even when we leave them wide open, they're missing. Let's see what happens. And that's why he was the only one. And he wasn't hitting threes. He was hitting those mid-range. He was driving in a little bit. And it wasn't like they were really putting clamp down defense on him at the time. I guess they left it for the other players they thought would have been more formidable, the ones that had the so-called better name brand. And they didn't perform. And like Siakam, he didn't perform at all. And that was a huge reason. Tyrese wasn't either perform at all. Miles Turner, we saw how he was in and out during the series. And now he's not even there. But, and by the way, Tyrese Halliburton has been confirmed. He's not playing in the 2025-2026 season. It seemed like it was that he wasn't going to play anyway, but I always felt that if they were able to, if they held the fort, I figured that, well, if they held the fort and had a nice little seating, would he get some playing time? It's almost like what Chet Holmgren dealt with 2 seasons ago when they wondered, was he going to get in or not? And they decided to leave him out. And you heard all the stories up until the last second. And he got it. He didn't get in. They left him out. And, they ran their course, but look where it ended up now. So, but
right.
the
NBA,
I
thought it was a given. But I saw Jason Tatum working out in the swimming pool. Not working out, but rehabbing.
Yeah, the swimming pool is the best thing for the Achilles.
I don't know what his plans are, but it could be he's trying to make a comeback upcoming season.
Man, I wonder how I don't think they want to rush it. It's just that competitive nature in them that makes them feel like they want to be out there, so it looks rushed from the outside looking in. Man, with an Achilles, and lucky for them, they have age on their side. They have youth on their side, but you don't want to have that happen again. We've seen instances of players who had gotten injured come back, and then the other side of the injury became an issue. And I think you said the same thing with Tyrese Halliburton. That Achilles, man, he had this calf injury for so long. The Achilles was the one that overcompensated and blew.
That's true.
So, God, man, it wasn't just the exclusive. He just made this move, and the Achilles just gave. He had a bad calf to start with. He sucked it up. He did what he needed to do to be there for his team. Started off hot. And when he went down, it was that Achilles finally giving up, and I think exacerbated because of that calf injury. I don't think that's what it was. You're hearing some of these trickling reports that kind of mentioned that was it. But
yeah, and it's not like he was even trying to change direction and stop and pivot. He was just trying to go.
Yeah, just go. I thought it was the calf when he went down. I didn't even think for a second it was the Achilles because the calf was the highlight issue that he had going into the game. He goes down, and you're thinking, damn, that damn calf. I hope they get iced up. I know he's going to suck it up. It's Achilles. No way he ain't coming back. That's just not happening. But how about the East? The East is terrible. What do you think about
Devin Booker getting his bag?
Damn, I didn't even know until you told me before we even came on. But him getting the bag, but what else do they have?
I think he got 2 years, 170 million or something, 150 million.
What kind of money is this, man? Scratch off.
It's crazy. And I'm thinking, man, what are the Suns doing? Like, Booker is a hell of a player.
He is.
I can
scores
see
a lot at least.
I guess you want to lock him up, but they have so many issues in Phoenix. I'm sorry. Right now, signing Booker is not my priority. I need some talent in here.
But there's no one in free agency to get. And trade wise, what kind of now that KD's gone, what kind of currency do you have to get new players to bring in talented players? Is Bradley Beal still there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do have those.
They're talking him waiving his no trade clause.
Yeah, anytime you start hearing about them talking about waiving a no trade clause, that's typically what happens. It's not someone just throwing things out there. The player doesn't want to be there. They do that when they first start up, when they enthusiastic about the team they go to. I want to end my career here, and then when things don't work out the way you want, now you see them decimating the team. KD leaving, you're like, okay, now just send me anywhere, but that anywhere has to be where I want to be, But that goes back to the East. They need help. I looked at a list the other day. They didn't even have the Celtics as the top team. They had the Knicks and who else? Well, it wasn't Indiana. They had the Knicks and somebody else is battling for the East.
Cleveland?
Yeah, Cleveland and the Knicks battling for the East. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? I mean, I'm thinking the Knicks make some moves and make some steps and probably going to be consistently in the playoffs. But the Celtics still have to do something. The Celtics will still be there. Even though Porzingis is gone, but he wasn't.
About that. They traded Drew Holiday also, and who knows when Tatum comes back.
Yeah, and that's true. But and he's one of those defensive glue guys who can score when he needs to, as you saw in Milwaukee. Him and Chris Middleton, dudes that you're not expecting a lot of offense from, but they gave it to you. And one was good, the other one wasn't. The other one was good, the other one wasn't. But then at one time, they were both good together, and it helped.
My boy Drew needs to get out of Portland, man. They're gonna waste his last couple of years in the league.
Really? Well, Portland's like you go to Portland to die. That's how it seems now.
That's what I'm saying. Free Drew Holiday.
Now, are they talking about bringing Dame back to Portland? I heard some stories about that.
I haven't heard. I just why would anyone sign him? He's rehabbing.
Exactly.
You don't know what you're getting from Dame.
It might have been just some rumor mill stuff, but how much sense does that rumor make? Going back from where you came and leaving the way you have left. And I think, it was it wasn't amicable, but I think the fans in Portland, they understood why he made the move he wanted. He wasn't bad talking to them, and when he left, he wasn't bad talking to them. So if he went back, I don't think it's going to be someone complaining about it. I don't think fans are going to be like, no, we don't want you back because you said this and that. It's like Julius Randle. If he went back to the Knicks after what he had done with the Knicks and put his middle finger up to the crowd, they wouldn't want him back. Especially if they have what they have already.
It just doesn't make sense, though. They're supposed to be rebuilding, stockpiling young talent. Why trade for Drew Holiday? Why bring in Dame? That's not going to help your young guys. I mean, unless Drew Holiday's going to mentor some guys, but I don't know if Drew Holiday's trying to mentor people. I'm sure he wants to be on a contender.
Exactly. And the story about a lot of times about these mentors to these players, like when Derrick Rose comes to Memphis and dealing with Ja Morant. And man, Derrick Rose has never been the wild
babysitter.
Exactly. He's no babysitter. You see him even in the NFL when Joe Flacco said that to Zach Wilson, man, nah, I ain't trying to help him. He's my competitor, man. Let that dude roll.
Take my job, right?
You know what I'm saying? You're going to have you mentoring him to take your job, not in the future, but the next game might be your future. And they don't want to deal with that. But the NBA, man, I mean, money-wise and the way these contracts are and the people getting this money through the freaking roof. And they're raising the salary cap, or have they raised the salary cap already? But
I don't know. I know they raised it a couple years ago, and like dudes that were maybe 7th or 8th men on the roster were getting $100 million contracts.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It's out of control, man. Like, I understand they got a big CBA and revenue sharing, but if I'm an owner or GM, like, yo, I understand we have this extra money. That doesn't mean we have to use it on these guys. Let's use it more wisely.
Yeah, it seemed like it would be wise, man. And that's why I wonder how with these executives and these so-called basketball people, they make these decisions when us laymen, we sit back and say, wait a minute, why are you doing that? And then when these players turn out to be as we thought they would be, these so-called experts are still like, well, it didn't work out. Well, we told you it wouldn't work out 2-3 years ago.
it's like back in the day. I think John Koncak was the highest player in the league at one point, just because he was 7-1, and I think he got 5 years, 15 million or something like that. It was a huge contract at the time. Everybody's like, "Wow, this is the largest contract in NBA history," and it was John Koncak who got the contract.
Damn, and then I guess he set the standard because then the people who really played basketball started demanding, hey, this is the benchmark, man. We want at least 10 times more. And they started getting it. And that seems that way it was. It's like even baseball, even though Ryan Sandberg was a damn good player, when he became the $7 million man and he was on the front of the Sports Illustrated cover, and people were like, man, that dude's getting paid so much. Dudes are getting paid that in less than half a season now. Like, come on, I mean, inflation and all that crap. But the CBA, that's always going to get you paid. And you know, football, because they play fewer games, the contracts seem like they're not as big. But if you were to prorate these contracts or prorate the games, if they played 162 games, if they played 82 games, well, they'd be the highest paid players as well. You know, we talking about dudes getting $1.5 million a game in some instances and more. Shoot, no one else in any other sports getting about that much in the game outside of sports being like boxing or even MMA when someone gets that per fight. But yeah, now stepping out of the NBA, there's college football, the media days. I know I think Tuesday, I was like, well, media days in about 2 weeks. Shoot, it's next week. SEC media day. Big 12 media day was this week. Deion Sanders there for the first time without his son, you know, being somewhat of a backdrop, or even Travis Hunter, both gone to the NFL. And now he's talking about salary caps. Now he's talking about there needs to be a salary cap in college football because now you don't have the embarrassment of gifts you had of your team in the past. Well, you just got regular guys. Now he does have some talented players. I think the number one quarterback coming out of high school ended up signing with him as well, but it's going to take some time before he starts showing anything.
I don't know. Media days, that means nothing to me, man. College football don't start till the players report to camp.
And that may be true, but in terms of what these coaches are looking at, because especially when you look at a coach like Deion Sanders, coming from Jackson State, he had all the players there, or at least all he needed was his son and Travis Hunter, and they had the most talent in the HBCU ranks. Goes to Colorado, Travis Hunter becomes the best player on that team, even though Deion's son is still getting play because he's Deion's son. But to hear now that he doesn't have that, what's the plan? What's plan B? What's moving forward? You know, what do you have, and what are your thoughts with the landscape changing as well? You know, players getting paid. Now you have the NCAA against the players, and now the teams are able to share the revenue, but there is no salary cap for NIL. You can still get paid what you can muster with NIL. It's the salary cap is on the teams in which the NCAA, the NCAA teams with the revenue they bring in and decide to share with you.
How they want to disperse it among the programs.
They want to disperse it among how they want to disperse it, but it has to be the entire sports, all the sports. $20 million, I think. $20.3 million for every sport. And football and basketball is going to be the primary sports. This Title IX thing, really, I mean, how could they even command or demand any of this money that's coming in, because they're not really revenue. There's very few revenue generating Title IX teams. You know, Tennessee was one of those teams that, you know, every now and then, well, not every now and then, they was actually getting money with their women's basketball team, along with the men's basketball team, along with the football team. But yeah, and I talked on Monday about the kid, Felix Aujo, that offensive tackle, that 285 pounds, 6'7", just signed with Texas Tech with a $5 million deal coming out of high school sight unseen.
Where's he going?
Texas Tech. He turns down Texas.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
All the big money teams he turns down to stay at Texas Tech. Not that Texas Tech is the flop, but when you compare it to the other teams that could have also paid him, especially Texas, the team that has more money than anybody in college football in the 1A, because obviously the Ivy League is different, but Harvard having an endowment of over $30 billion. No one's even close, even Texas. But
my only interest right now in college football is what Scott Frost had to say.
You know what? I don't know how I didn't, because on Monday or Tuesday, I forgot all about it. I saw it. I was like, yeah, I know you're gonna have something to say about it, but I forgot all about it.
I didn't read a lot about it, but I saw that he didn't take the best job.
That's what he said.
And now he's happy to be back where he can succeed or something like that. Mm-hmm. You know, that's kind of a under the table shot at his alma mater, Well, here you go, Scott Frost. You're the worst coach in fucking Nebraska football history. Fuck you. Take your ass back to Florida. You didn't do jack shit for the program in Lincoln, Nebraska. And
Bro,
take those words and shove them up your punk ass.
man, he should have been targeted for that one. But man, you know what? I could have sworn he was going to be a good coach when he went to Nebraska because of what he had done in Central Florida. But those were George O'Leary's players. All of them. I mean, all the quality players, and the reason why they went undefeated and had that so-called claim to be a quasi-national champ was because of the players that George O'Leary had recruited. And I thought that I knew at the time, but I still didn't think it. Scott Frost, he was still there when they won the championship. So when he went to Nebraska, I was like, damn, Nebraska's coming back. And then I'm looking at some of these recruiting.
Is that everybody has limits and everyone has different limits. I don't think he's a big-time program type coach. He obviously couldn't handle it. He obviously, he got the keys to the program, and he did nothing to improve it. Didn't develop players. He didn't coach well. They were the most penalized team in the Big Ten. You guys have false starts, late hits. That's all coaching. That's lack of discipline. And good luck to UCF, man.
Yeah, well, they at least have something to put their hat on. Yeah, we won a championship with him at the helm, even though it was still George O'Leary's players. And now with the NIL, it's a completely different NCAA football than it was when he was there. So how does he navigate that? It's not like UCF is one of those schools that competes with the other bigger schools and has that dollar amount they're able to generate and be able to pay the players they're going to need to play. But luckily for him, I think Florida is one of those states where you can take a third-tier player that didn't go to Florida State, or Miami, and still win with that player if you're a good coach, because you can bring him up the way that's best for what he does, and he blooms later on rather than right away because he doesn't have that pop coming out as a five-star player. And intermittently, you can get a five-star player.
But with the Big Ten and SEC basically taking over, will he be able to compete at that level?
That's the point. See, where he's going to be, they're in the Big 12 now. So, and the Big 12 is still looked at as the little sister because it's still the SEC, the Big 10, or the Big 10 SEC, however way you want to put it. They are the ones who are leading the way. They will probably win those games in the Big 12, or you could probably see the noticeable changes. And if there's going to be improvement, it's going to be while they're in the Big 12. And then when we finally get them on the big stage against those Big 10 and SEC teams, we're going to see that, well, they may not be up to par. Or it could be a lot like when he was there at the helm and they did go undefeated and they did beat that SEC team in Auburn in the bowl game, embarrassed them. That same Auburn team who beat the Alabama team who ended up winning the national championship that year. So I just think that did he learn anything? We're going to find out how much did he learn. Did you just go to Nebraska, overdo it because the pressure was on you, being a former alumnus, being a former quarterback there, and the pressure's just there? Nebraska expects this from an alumnus, and he didn't deliver. And so now you're back here where you did have success. I wonder, did you learn anything? And we'll find that out. But
so I had a nickname for him. Like I would have a nickname for a lot of Nebraska players, but my nickname for him, and this will probably be the last time I ever say it, was Frosty Dog. And the only reason I'm saying it is because I'm saying I will never say it ever again. Fuck him.
Frosty Dog. I remember when he came out of high school, he was with Stanford first. And then he went to Nebraska.
He went to play Stanford, safety.
Yeah, exactly. Then he went to State, and then he went to was it Nebraska? And then the Lawrence Phillips issue came up. So when Lawrence is Lawrence is going to kill that dude. And now we see how things look in the future. Lawrence probably would have killed him.
He transferred, but that was his sit out year. He wasn't actually playing.
Well, but he was dating.
He was there with the Lawrence Phillips incident, though.
Yeah, well, he was dating the girl that Lawrence Phillips was with, and that's when he came into the house and was storming in, and Scott locked himself in the bathroom or something. Where the story goes, man, he ain't want to have nothing to do with it. Lawrence is on another planet, man, as big as he was, and now we know that he had that possibility of ending things, and it might have happened. But yeah, we'll get to see what UCF was up to. They've always been kind of one of those middle tier teams, and they can every now and then, because of the state of Florida's talent pool, if you have the right coach and you can cherry pick other players from other close areas, even Georgia or Alabama, you probably could put something together. But I think that these top teams or top conferences like the Big Ten, like the SEC, they're so powerful that that's probably changed along with NIL. It's changed along with the NIL, and even now this revenue sharing and everything they're talking about, where it's just so far ahead of everybody else. These upsets probably can't happen anymore.
Yeah. So, do you have more college football? I have something to ask you about. It's an NFL cornerback, wide receiver situation.
Well, Hal Mummy, old school Hal Mummy, who coached Tim Couch at Kentucky, he's back at 73 years old. He was hired at Centenary, so that's a Division II school. But hey, Hal Mummy, man, I forgot about him years ago. This guy gets a lot of credit for being one of the pioneers of that air raiding offense. Spreading everybody out, kind of like Mike Leach, what he did at Washington State, and actually what he did at Texas Tech, and then brought it to Washington State. But either way, he brought it to Mississippi State. But anyways, we're talking about Hal Mummy having a job at 73 years old. He made Tim Couch a number one pick overall, so he threw the ball.
You're talking about Hal Mummy. You're talking about Hal Mummy. I'm not.
Oh, Hal Mummy. Well, yeah, Hal Mummy, man. I like the guy. I know here in the South, they would call him Hal Dummy. Hal Dummy. It was just a high school offense. No, man, I've always liked the guy. I think wasn't he at I think he might have been at Valdosta State before with Dustin Bonner.
That's me.
Okay, but anyway, yeah. So what was the wide receiver deal you was talking about?
So I saw a video of Charles Woodson. They asked him the 4 toughest receivers he had to cover. First one he said was Marvin Harrison.
Easy, hard, not hard to believe.
T.O. I had it on T.O., Kelvin Johnson, and one other guy I can't remember. And then they asked him who was the toughest. He's like, oh, no doubt. Who do you think he said?
The toughest that he's covered?
Yeah.
Man, I hope you're not hitting that Calvin Branch deal.
Calvin Branch.
What the one you bought the other day?
Cliff Branch, man, he played in the 70s and 80s, bro.
Oh, all right. Nah, so no.
He was on those Tom Flores teams.
Yeah, Tom Flores, man. Another one who don't get the damn respect. But who would the top?
I can't remember the fourth one. But anyway, out of those 3, who do you think he said
was the toughest out of those 3? I would think Marvin Harrison.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. And he explained that dude, people talk about hands, but he had hands and he ran the best routes.
Yep.
He was always moving. He said he wasn't always moving. Some guys, they move him around, try to get different matchups. You can find him in the same spot, on the same side of the field, every possession. He wasn't moving. And he's coming at you all game long.
All game. And he was so slight. Dude was 170 pounds his entire career at about 6 feet. He might have been 5'11", but he was so shifty and blazing fast. I remember when he was at Syracuse and the impact he made. And when he came, Syracuse never really had those wide receivers you thought would be a real difference maker in the NFL. But when he came to the NFL immediately, and then, of course, teaming up with Peyton Manning didn't hurt anything. This guy was just phenomenal, man. Even when they brought Reggie Wayne along, he was still their top receiver.
Yeah, Marvin was a bad dude, man. I drafted him in fantasy league. It was between him and Eddie Kennison. And Kennison had a decent career.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was no Marvin Harrison.
Nah, he got no gold jacket like Marvin Harrison. I was doing sandbox back then, the sandbox dollars and everything, and I ended up having Marvin Harrison. So I had Marvin Harrison, and they had defensive players you could pick too, because I remember still I picked Kenny Holmes only because he's a former Cane. He was with the Washington Redskins then, so I picked him up because of it. But I ended up getting Kurt Warner because I had Trent Green, but I ended up getting Kurt Warner, and that took a little while to get him because after Trent Green got hurt in the preseason, I was like, man, I'm looking for other quarterbacks. I'm like, man, there was no one out there. I was like, man, I think I have to run with the guy his backup, man. And I thought it was just going to be, I'll be a middle tier team. Bro, Kurt Warner just came on the scene. And then I ended up having Randy Moss as my other wide receiver along with Marvin Harrison. Then I had Edric Hayes in the backfield.
Randy Moss was the fourth one.
Man.
I can't believe I forgot Randy.
Randy was
his toughest were Marvin Harrison, Randy Moss. Damn, I'm forgetting. Why am I drawing a blank? T.O.
and Marvin Harrison.
No, I said Marvin Harrison.
Oh, okay,
Calvin Johnson. Megatron.
Yeah, now between Megatron and Randy Moss, if you had to pick between the two, which one do you run with?
It's a tough pick. You can't go wrong with either one, but I'm a Randy Moss guy.
And that's exactly what, man.
I was a Randy Moss guy since his college days when he's high stepping over people with the can the hat socks on.
Yeah, that was an army. He stepped over my man. He just leaped over.
Yeah, I've been a Randy guy since then.
Bro, I remember him from the high school days, and the reason why I had spoken with Dave T. Thomas. He was the guy who wrote the poor man's draft to the poor man's guide to the NFL draft years ago when it was almost 1,000-page book for like $75. And that was back in like the early 90s. And I was like, $75? I can't afford that joint. And I used to watch him on Chet Copics, New Sport Talk. And I wrote his name down and I wrote his phone number down. So I was like, I'm going to buy that book eventually. It wasn't anytime soon. $75 is hard to come by, like 92, 93. Next thing you know, man, when I finally got back to New York, I was going through my wallet. I keep wallets for like 10 years for some reason, 10, 15 years sometimes. Going through my wallet, I saw his number, and I just called it. And some girl picks up. And I'm like, oh, I got the wrong number. She was like, oh, nah, who you looking for? And I'm like, I think I got the wrong number. She's like, nah, who you looking for? I told her, this guy, Dave T. Thomas. She's like, nah, I'm his daughter. And I remember him talking about her on Chet Copics' show. She's been coming with me with football events since she was 5 years old. She knows more about football than most guys. He talked about that. So her and I started talking. And she was like, hey, yeah, I think at the time she went to Arizona State, but I think she transferred to Rutgers. But she says, yeah, man, he was being cheap. He used my phone number on national television when I was in college. And she said, I'm getting calls like 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 in the morning from people looking at his book because they was replaying Chet Copics, New Sport Talk in different parts of the country. She's getting all these calls because he was being cheap and didn't want to get a new phone at the office. And then her and I spoke. She gave me his phone number in Queens, and I was talking. I called him up. He answered, and he and I started talking, and I brought up Randy Moss, and we started talking about his high school days. This is back in 90, 95, 96. And I was like, holy crap, man. And then he was like, yo, I got to hang up now. He was about to talk to, I forgot, what's his name from Bethard. I think it was Bethard from San Diego. He was about to talk to Bobby Bethard. Yeah, and I was like, bro, and I was like, one of the few times I was like, he's talking to Bobby Bethard. He's like, I'll call you back. And we ended up having a good relationship. And then that's before anything radio. And I told him, yo, bro, I want to get on the radio one day. And I said, when I get on the radio one day, I want to have you as a guest. He said, if you get a show, I'll come on. And I swear, true to his word, when I finally get that show here in Jacksonville, we was on the damn show. When draft time came around, he came on with us for the entire half hour, man, for a half hour out of our 3 hours show. And I'll never forget that dude, man. He died of cancer eventually. He got cancer. He was trying to do it holistically. And I remember when he was deteriorating, he started saying things. And I was like, God, man, I just, I don't see him often, but I saw him lose weight. He was an offensive lineman. And then he was like 160 pounds. Bro. But yeah, Dave T. Thomas, poor man's guide to the NFL draft. Always my dog there, man. Damn, what a hell of a damn story. That dude just, all the football, man. We just went down until the phone died. We had, there was cordless phones back then.
So where would you rank Charles Woodson as a cornerback all time?
Oh, Charles Woodson? Shoot. As a corner? Damn. I think as good as Charles Woodson is, or even as great as Charles Woodson was, he's still underrated. No one mentions him a lot. You don't hear his name a lot. And I think Charles Woodson was I think he's a top 10 all-time corner.
I can see that.
Yeah, Charles Woodson was legit.
Better than Darrell Green?
In the Raiders.
Better than Darrell Green?
Oh, see? Damn.
I'm just throwing a name out there.
Darrell Green was a 5'9" player. We know him for his speed and the loyalty the Washington Redskins had for him and letting him play for so long. They didn't let him play. He played. He was still effective. So damn, and Darrell Green is another one, because when we talk about players who's a great corner, you think about Darrell Green running people down, but you're not thinking about his cover skills. He caught Eric Dickerson. He caught this guy. He caught Tony Dorsett. But who did he cover? Man, you talk about running backs all this time, but who the hell did he cover? Bro, the dude was that damn good, Darrell Green.
You don't see him chasing down wide receivers. Like, he wasn't getting burnt by wide receivers.
He wasn't getting burnt. That's why you didn't need a safety with him.
You couldn't burn him.
Texas A&I, that's the school he went to. That's where he came from, Texas A&I. He was a world-class runner, obviously. But I still remember that video when Big Herschel Walker beat him in the freaking 60. Tripped me out. Big Herschel Walker
that was like after 3 attempts, right? Because Darrell Green was like He was winning back to back to back, and then finally he lost, I think.
Oh, okay. I know that one race that I saw, and I saw that Herschel beat him. I already knew Herschel was fast, but at that time, Darrell Green was we know Darrell Green to be speed wise. No one was touching him. And when Big Herschel being 225 pounds, beat him, it wasn't by a lot, but hell, all you got to do win by a step. If you're the horse, win by a damn nose, you still win.
Right.
And he beat Darrell Green, but Darrell Green was smoking everybody else. I saw him destroy. What's his name? Woodson from the Steelers.
Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson. When you look at Rod Woodson, ran track at Purdue and all that, and they was talking about the speed. I used to love Rod Woodson when he played.
He was fast.
He was blazing fast. And then they moved
fast.
And like they did with Ryan Lott, they switched him from corner to safety as he got older. And he was still, they did the same thing to Darrelle Revis when he went from corner to safety, but he sucked at safety. Darrelle Revis was trash at safety. The hell happened? Revis Island, he had the whole dog island pack now. But but Darrell Green, man, blazing fast, damn good cornerback. And they retired his number. I saw that ceremony on the internet when they retired his number. And it was
Redskins.
They caught him off guard. Man, it was a hell of a video, man, to watch him because he gives speeches. He's still a good dude, so he gives speeches and do things this and that for the kids. And they had the cue cards for him to read, and then he was reading the cue cards with no clue that one of the cue cards talked about retiring his number. And the dude just stops and starts crying, man. And all the people come out for him. I'm like, damn, if there's a dude that's not on your team, that's the dude right there that you can run with. He's not on your team, but he's just an overall good guy. Never gave you any reason to think otherwise. No real slip-ups. Whatever happened behind closed doors is his issue. But it publicly, never had an issue. No one ever said anything outside about him. And he's been doing his thing. Something else, man. But anyway, shoot. The NFL coming up. Now we're talking 2 weeks for the NFL to come up. 2 weeks before they start going to camp. This off season. And did the NFL really make splashes during the off season? I don't think so.
There was a couple of days, like a month and a half ago, seemed like they were trying to compete with the NBA Finals or something.
Oh, well, the NBA Finals delivered, so there wasn't much. Even though the NFL rules shit, I think people were pretty focused on what's going on with the NBA because of the type of finals and even the playoff series that were going on. It was hot enough to where you could just say, okay, the NFL, I know you're there, man. We could catch you when we get our time to find you, but we're going to watch what's right in front of us right now. But the NFL, new faces, new places. And by the way, I think I saw a story about Eli Manning wanting to buy a part of the Giants, or that was an opportunity. He said it cost too much for him. The Giants are now worth, I think in 2024, over $8 billion. And he was talking, at least someone said that he wanted a 10%, him and an investment group, 10%. Bro, $8.3 billion. Bro, you want 10%? Bro, that's a lot of freaking money right there, man.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy. Woo, man. That ain't nothing to play with. That's what, $830 million.
Right.
You and your crew got to come up with. And he's like, yo, bro, even 1% is some big numbers. And that's like, they had a new evaluation. He was like, what about a $10 billion team? 1% of that's a big number. Duh, for all of us.
No kidding.
Group. These teams, man, I thought he could be a little bit do like Jay-Z when Jay-Z was running his mouth about doing that, buying it, having the little piece of the net that he had, and he's still talking about signing. If they can't get LeBron, he's getting Dwayne Wade.
In the immortal words of Tupac, fuck Jay-Z.
He talking about he was going to pay Dwayne Wade, ended up getting either team, and they're not even the owner of the Nets anymore. But anyway, yeah. Sure, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, not even a story anymore. I'll go out, not even going out on a limb. I don't think he's going to do anything with the Steelers, and it's going to be a sad story. And now, you get these you can't really trust a lot of stories these days when you look at these headlines, and they talked about the quarterback that the Jets are going to get rid of Justin Fields for. And I'm like, already? But it's one of these headlines that get you to click on it so they can tell you some other long-winded nonsense that has nothing to do. Bro, what the hell am I missing? I'm trying to get updates all the time about whatever the hell you're doing so I can either have some timid feelings or what. And haven't heard anything bad, so I think that's good right now when it comes to him. As long as you're not hearing anything bad, that's good. When you hear something good, that's really good. But the NFL is going to be knocking on the door. College football is doing the same. SEC Media Day. Brent Beard, who's been on this show before, he will be in Atlanta. It's in Atlanta. So before it used to be Hoover, Alabama, but they've been moving it around lately. So it'll be in Atlanta this year. So he'll be there. I asked him this morning, will he be there for the entire week? Or he says he doesn't know, but that's Brent Beard. That dude lives, eats, breathes SEC football, college football, period. And he'll be in attendance with his twin brother, Brett. I've seen known these guys for over 20 years, 25 years nearly. And I don't know anyone who knows more football than Brent Beard. No one. And the reason why he's not that national guy, because he's such a Southern dude with that Southern drawl. And nationally, it may not play out that well. I know how the business goes when it comes to that. But anyway, anything you want to talk about the fight on Saturday with Shakur?
Not really. I don't even know who his opponent is. I expect him to win.
Yeah, well, they're both undefeated in this day and age. So what? Where you can have an undefeated record and not really do anything. But it's going to be
I just hope Shakur steps up. His last couple of fights have been boring as hell.
Boring. See,
like when he moved up, it seemed like he had a little more power.
He did.
He hurting people. But his last couple of fights, people are just eating his stuff like he got nothing.
And then he would talk about these hand issues afterwards. Oh, my hand is standing around for this and that. My hand. Like, oh, bro, I know it's a possibility, but come on, man. People are expecting things. Floyd had bad hands too.
Get those shots like Floyd used to get. Get that lighter king.
You know what I mean? You do something, man. Take some painkillers before the fight and let them wear out. But yeah, man. And how about Paulie Malignaggi coming back as a bare knuckle fighter? He had hand problems in his boxing career. Why do you bare knuckles now?
And I saw him talking about why he chose bare knuckle fights. Then he said because it's only 4 rounds.
It's probably only 4 rounds, but there's a whole bunch of pain in between when your hands don't hold up.
I don't know how good the knuckle bare knuckle.
I watched a few of those guys. I watched those fights, and they're
Paulie was pretty good defensively. So
yeah, he was, but he's 40.
He's gonna be slipping and dodging.
He's 40 and change now, though. He had the big gut. He's going away now because he's putting in work.
Yo, what happened to Paul Spadafore? Is he still alive?
Remember he had issues, man. I think he shot his girlfriend, and he went to jail for a long time. Prison for a long time.
He's in prison.
Yeah, he can't. I think he's out now. But yeah, he had a lot of things, man. His career fell apart because of those bad decisions. But I think if everything would have just been right, but in a boxer's life, when the hell did that happen? If he'd have just stayed on the right track, man, that dude would have been one of these boxers we're talking about. And only because of the Floyd video when he just embarrassed Floyd and Floyd made every excuse in the book for why it happened. We watching this joint like, damn, I know you just came off the street and got some sparring in, but damn, you knew what you was getting into. And Spadafore was giving it to him. But I think Spadafore had the talent to be one of these elite fighters that we're still talking about. When you talk about good fighters of a certain era, he would have been one of those fighters. But yeah, man. But I remember, I think he shot his girlfriend or something like that, and had spent some time away for it. Shoot, crazy, man. You never know.
It's crazy.
Your boxing spawns these kinds of personalities. It's not all the time, but a lot of this greatness comes from the tumult in your life. And I guess that they make bad bedfellows, even though they get you to where you think you want to go. That's what it is. But anyway, we can close this out now. Baseball All-Star game coming up. Oh, boy. So are we going to look forward to the home run derby? No one in that home run derby I'm really interested in looking at anymore. Not even Vlad Guerrero not coming in there. Come on, man. But it's still coming on. I still look forward to it because that's the only pure all-star game left. We see hockey when you have 12 goals scored. Basketball, you having 300 points scored. No one cares about that. Baseball, they still try to keep it real, and they don't need that incentive of the winner gets the home field advantage for the World Series. They go out there with pride and still play and do well in those low-scoring games most times. But anyway, he's Bias on Trav and the Sports Bad Blues podcast. We'll be back at you on Monday for sure. Not skipping over to Tuesday, but on Monday. And we'll see what the weekend has for us, what unfolds, so we can talk about that. But until then, deuces.
Adios.